Okay, here we are. This is lesson 2 of how to draw a Ferrari F12. And in case this is your first time here, what I'm going to be showing you is how to draw a Ferrari F12 using the technique called stippling. And all it amounts to is you just lift up the pen and you touch it down in one place that leaves a dot, and that dot is just one little piece of a whole picture. And you can draw a picture with just dots. So that's what I do. And it's very easy to do. It takes a little bit of time, takes a little bit of practice, but it's really easy to do. And it's almost foolproof because you're drawing with a dot. If you put a dot in the wrong place, it really doesn't matter very much. Nobody's going to get after you, especially if you put one of the light ones in. What I do is I always start, this is lesson 2, like I said. Yesterday, I drew an outline around this car, and I did some of the darkest places on the car. Now, that isn't necessarily as dark as they'll be at the end of the drawing, but what I have started to do on the hood now and the front end of the car is lightly I'm putting in the darkest areas on the body. These are not as dark as the ones that'll be completely in shadow like underneath the car that I've already put in. But what I'm doing here is I'm working one color tonal value against another. Of course, this is black and white, but if you just imagine this car had color, I'm doing it in gray, but it has a color on its own. So there are some parts that are light because they have highlights reflecting off of them, and other parts that are dark. The ones I'm working on right now are the dark ones. And then when I get to those, I will start to darken them up, and then I'll work the lights against that. But in order to make a drawing exciting and dramatic, you have to have a difference between the darks and the lights, and the bigger the difference, the more exciting the drawing will be, as long as you stay within the realm of possibility and don't go too far out. If you go too far out, that's fine too. It just won't look very realistic, but it could still look really good. In any case, I usually stick pretty close to what the photograph that I have is, but I may pump up one value against another because I think it'll make it look better. And that's what you get to do when you're doing the art. But this is a really easy technique to do. You can see it, it takes just some time and a little bit of practice with your hand, and it's just easy. And you almost can't screw it up. So if you want to try it, please do. It's very rewarding, and the drawings that you can create this way are very nice. They can be really beautiful. And I have found them to be such, and I have a lot of people who buy them from me, and I have a lot of my artwork in various places. So some people like it, and probably some people don't, and that's fine too. But if you take a look at some of my past work, you can see how this looks in the end. So you're not just looking at what we're doing now. I always feel a little funny showing somebody a drawing that's not complete. But you have to do this. It is a process. It does take a while to do. So with this that I'm doing, I usually do about 20 or 25 minutes, and then I speed it up 4 times so that you don't have to sit and watch 20 minutes worth of drawing in order to see what the outcome will be. This way it gives a big enough change daily so that you'll see where it's going. But it always looks kind of funny when it's halfway completed or less, and then you say, well, how is he ever going to make that look like a car? Believe me, it will look like a car when we get done with it, and it'll look like a beautiful car, the beautiful car that this thing is. So what I'm doing is just, like I say, working on the darker parts right now of the body itself, and just copying those more or less off the photograph. And you can find a photograph, you can take a photograph yourself, or you can just look at something and draw it or do whatever you want to do. But in this case, it was a photograph that I found, and it's a beautiful car, and that's why I chose this one. I alternate usually between an old car and a new car. This is obviously one of the new ones. And it's the most powerful street Ferrari that they have ever built. It's got a whole pot loads of horsepower in it and torque, and it's a really amazing car from everything that everybody's told me. I haven't ridden in one yet, but it's a great car. Anyway, so what we're doing here is, again, we're just working on the darker parts. Tomorrow we'll do a lot more, but we're just putting those darkest parts down so that we can work against it, and then we'll darken those up. Then we'll start to work the lights into it too. And when we do, you'll start to see this thing emerge. The drawing of the car will actually come out of the shadows here, come off the paper, and then you'll start to see what this thing's actually going to look like. And that's the exciting part when that happens. But you have to lay the groundwork first, and which is what I'm doing. It just takes some time to just go around and lay down dots. And you put them in the places where it's indicated on the photograph, and then you go. And this is larger than the photograph is itself, so you can't exactly go one by one. You have to figure out in your mind exactly where it's going to be. But it's pretty easy. Once you get the feeling of how this works, it's very easy to do. And it's very satisfying to do too. Okay, getting down near the end, we're going to have to call it quits for today. But we're going to do a lot more tomorrow, and I hope to see you back here because this thing's going to start looking like a car before very long. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow. Bye.